Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my third tutorial and thanks for watching it. Um, my name is Dominic, I'm from Austria, and I will be explaining today how to import and export softbody dynamics from Realflow to Cinema 4D. And you might ask yourself at this point why you want to do this, because Cinema 4D has already built-in softbody dynamics. So when I was creating my new demo reel, the intro, I had some problems with the ladders. The polygons were always going out of place with the softbody dynamics in Cinema 4D. I read a lot of forums, tried to get it right, but I still had problems. So I thought I might go with Realflow, and this might be the better solution. So yeah, this is all about exporting softbody dynamics from Realflow to Cinema 4D, and this is what we will be creating. Okay, well, we will be creating something similar. So let's jump into Cinema 4D. I already created a text, and this is a simple mode text. You can also use splines with a extrude NURBS. It doesn't really matter. The depth is to 60, subdivisions is 1, height is 200 centimeters, and the horizontal spacing is 12 centimeters. Maybe let's increase the subdivisions to, I don't know, let's say 4. Okay, and the next thing we want to do, by the way, the font is Porky's. It's a free font. You can download it on the internet. Simple Google for it. Change the resolution to maybe something higher to 1280 and 720. And let's create something like a light studio. Let's create, what can we be creating? Let's create maybe an arc. Let's create an arc, and we will be rotating this arc maybe in this direction 90 degrees and in this direction 90 degrees. This looks okay to me. Let's move it upwards, and here let's make it editable. Hit the C key. Okay, we are in point modes. Now let's select this point and move it down here. Now let's take this point and move it down here, and let's do the right click, create point. We set another point here, and we take this point and move it a little bit like that. Take another point, create point, set it here. Take this point. If you know an easier way to set up a light studio, simply do it, feel free. I'm just doing it my way, and yeah, if you have already saved a light studio or something like that, then simply use this one. It doesn't really matter for this tutorial. Okay, and let's create another point. Let's create it here. Okay, and let's move it down here. Something like that. That looks okay to me. Maybe move this point a little bit upwards, also this one. Okay. Okay, now you should have something like that. Yeah, I think that will be okay for our tutorial. Let's create the extrude NURBS, put the arc in there, and let's extrude. Let's set this to 0 centimeters, and this here to, I don't know, let's set it to something like 2000 centimeters. So this is really large. This is like 20 meters or something like that. I think we're a little bit too large in this scene. So maybe let's change this to 200 centimeters. And okay, this is really small. Okay, let's change it to 2000 again. Okay, who cares? Doesn't really matter for this tutorial. So let's place the text in the middle of the light studio, and what we will be doing next is we will make this text editable, and maybe let's set it a little bit higher, something like that. Yeah, that looks okay to me. This is perfect. Um, let's make this text editable. Let's hit the C key on the keyboard. Um, okay, the C key wasn't maybe... Okay, let's select all those, hit the C key again, and now we want to connect each of those. So the S, connect objects and delete. For O the same. For the F the same. For every letter, simply connect them. Okay. Okay, so that's it. So we have the text here. Okay. I had a little issue on the O. This isn't too good. Let's do it again. I'm sorry for this. Okay. Here we go. Okay, and that's it already. We wanna also hit the C key for the extrude NURBS. So let's do this. Okay, so we have here our letters, and here we have our Light Studio. And what we want to do now is we can export this already to Realflow. All we want to do is go into poly mode, hit select all our letters and our Light Studio, hit the Control A, and so we select all polygons in the scene. Right mouse click and let's go to triangulate, because Realflow only accepts triangulated geometry, so this is why we want to do this way. Okay, and let's export this. I hope you have the plugins installed for Realflow, so you can export this whole thing. Let's go to Realflow SD exporter. Let's create a SD file. Desktop, I will be saving it on the desktop, it doesn't really matter. Let's call it softly. End frame will be 200. And the scene scale, okay, we will talk about this a little bit later. Let's select all letters here, everything we got in the scene, and let's click on Add All, Export Objects, and let's click on Export. Okay, that's it. Let's start up Realflow. And here we go. And this is an empty scene right now. We will be creating a new scene. I will be saving this also on the desktop, maybe in a new folder. Let's call this tutorial softly. Okay. And the project name, we call this also softly. Create new project. Okay. And now what you want to do is go to preferences and set the geometry scale to 0.0.1. And this is because of the scale of Cinema 4D. That's why you need to set the scale in Realflow to such a low value, because otherwise the scene will be too huge. But oh yeah, let's go to Import Object and let's go to your folder where you saved the SD file and click on Open. And as you can see, this is really small, and this is also a problem with the exporting. And Realflow says object Y1 contains 1090 degenerated faces that will be ignored. Set a higher scale. So this is really a problem, and maybe a lot of you had this problem already. So we will be deleting all those letters and jump back to Cinema 4D where we have our scene, and we have already triangulated this, so everything is okay, and we will go to Plugins, Realflow SD Exporter, do the whole thing again, everything should be added, end frame 200, this also be saved on the desktop, and let's set the scene scale to 100 right here. So we'll be increasing that 100 times. So scene scale 100 and click on export. And if we go to Realflow now and click on the import button and on the object, and we will be opening this file again. As you can see, we have a much bigger scene now, or a much bigger letters, and also the light studio is bigger. And we still have a failure that at some letters there will be some faces ignored, but it doesn't really matter. For the Y letter it's 6 faces, for the T it's 10 faces, and for the F2 and for the S4 faces that will be ignored. That doesn't really matter. This is because Realflow isn't really fully satisfied with the triangulation of some objects and things, something like that. This is bullshit, but yeah. What can we do about this? Almost nothing. We could build a better mesh or something like that, but as I said, it doesn't really matter. So what we want to do now is we want to select the Light Studio and set this Light Studio to first of all, we want to go to Node and we want to enable it with SD curve, or we want to enable this. I want to enable this, and let's go to Dynamics. And this works like Cinema 4D Dynamics. It's really the same. So let's go to Dynamics, and we wanna set this as a floor. So this will be a passive rigid body, because if it would be active, like in Cinema 4D, it would just fall endless into space. So we set it to passive rigid body. And now we want to simulate those letters. So we select all letters, holding down the Shift key, left mouse button, select all those, go to Dynamics and set it to Softbody Dynamics. And in the Softbody tag you have a lot of things. You have the mass, you have the resolution, the length stiffness. The mass is the mass of the object, and it will be calculated in kilograms in Realflow. You can leave this at default, but you can also play with the mass around. The resolution is the calculation, how exactly Realflow will calculate this soft body simulation. A higher value will increase the render time, but will lead to better results. A lower resolution, will go into the other direction. We can lower the resolution to something like, I don't know, 64. The length stiffness, this is almost explaining itself. Also the volume stiffness, we want to lower the volume stiffness maybe to something like, I don't know, 0.1 or something like that. The elasticity is, the elasticity, a higher value will make the object more elasticity or elastic than a lower value. This just goes from 0.0 to 1, so we will change this to 1. The friction is the friction, air friction. Auto collision we want to tick on, or maybe off, it doesn't really matter. Auto collision is just helping Realflow to calculate collisions. If the objects hit themselves, it will be just a little bit more exactly, but you can leave it to at off or at no. The result will still be absolutely okay, but you can tick it on if you want to. Doesn't really matter. Plasticity, if you tick it on, this will deform the objects and will never get them back into their initial state. So they will, if the S hits the floor, it will just deform and deform and deform. It will never be an S shape again. So this is plasticity. You can play with those settings as well if you want to. It's up to you, but I will leave it at no. I just want to explain you some things in Realflow, and I hope you dig this. Okay. So what we want to do now is click on simulate. I think we are all set and ready to go. Did I forget anything? Yeah, we still need a gravity. So let's go to the show daemon menu and let's use a gravity. This is really important, otherwise things won't be falling down. The strength is at 9.8. This is the normal gravity, but I will set it to 1. And let's look how this works. Let's click on simulate. And as you can see, this already works. And it renders really fast. I mean, my machine isn't really that huge. This is maybe this is an i7 2600. So this isn't with 16 gigabyte RAM and a 560 GTX NVIDIA. So this isn't really something special. And as you can see, Realflow is doing really a great job. So this is already working and looks good to me. The objects are deforming really nice. Yeah, this looks okay. Okay, I think it's time for a cigarette. Well, it's always time for a cigarette. But all I can say is quit smoking and don't do it. But yeah. Okay, so this is it. This is the whole simulation. Looks absolutely okay to me. It's nothing special. Like I said, you can play around with the settings, get used to the thing. Okay, what we want to do now is just simply save the project, and we can close Realflow. Realflow already saved this with its standard parameters. You don't need to do anything else. This is it. And so let's close Realflow, and let's jump into Cinema 4D. And we have our scene here, and we can delete this scene now. Maybe let's save it. Maybe let's save it to softly. Okay, and now delete those letters. And now we go to plugins, Realflow SD importer, and we wanna. Here we have the option for camera and the object. We don't have a camera. We only have objects. Add texture. We don't have any textures yet. Create missing objects. This should be ticked on, otherwise we won't have anything in the scene if we load this up now. So let's go to the folder where you saved the Realflow project. And let's go into Objects, Animation SD, and go to Open. And let's click on Import. And now we wanna. And now it already works. Here is our scene. This was perfect. Importing, exporting. Or wasn't it? Something is wrong here. Okay, maybe let's change the scale. Let's go to each letter and change the scale from 1 to 0.01. And let's go to the next 0.01. And we will doing this for the rest of the animation, because this is the scale we used in Realflow. And this should be exactly our scene we built before in the right scale. So let's do it here again, 0.01. Was it called null in English? I'm not sure. Null. Null 1. Who cares? Maybe I care. Okay, so here we go. And let's see it. Okay, this works. Everything is okay. The only thing I don't like is the... No, here we go. Okay, this already works. So here we have our Softbody dynamic animation from Realflow in Cinema 4D in the right scale. It's already working, and yeah, I think the gravity is a little bit too low. I should have created the gravity maybe at 3 or 4 or 5 or something like that. Like I said, you can play with those settings. Okay, so this is it. This is our animation. And yeah, it should be fine when we render it. Let's do a test render. Zack. Okay. Let's move a little bit forward. Do a test render. Here you go. Everything looks okay. You can now light the scene, texture the scene, and make something great. With this technique, I think you can take almost any object you want to Realflow. It doesn't really matter. Take a house, take a beer bottle, take a whole interior. It doesn't really matter. Export it to Realflow and import it back to Cinema 4D. You can do a lot of great things with Realflow. I really love that program. Yeah, so this was the tutorial for Realflow Softbody Dynamics exporting to Cinema 4D. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful for some of you. And I wish you a nice day. And yeah, talk to you soon. Bye guys.